Well, it's nice to see this many people here for the press conference without pizza.
One other thing, Coach Floyd was over with the with the faculty at the luncheon, and he was glad to see that I was renewing the contract with Mike for the fact that he was now 1-4 with the coaching.
But I want to, express my appreciation to Dr. Natalicio and Richard Adalto and of course Bob and during this time of where contracts are not being honored and on both sides contracts at some places are meaningless, and it's nice to be involved with a university that has credibility and loyalty. And loyalty is a good thing, not a bad thing. I know every year when we play New Mexico State, I always talk about, sportsmanship, and it's like that's the only time players ever hear anything about sportsmanship or we ever talk about it is the New Mexico State game. And it's the same thing with loyalty. I just feel wonderful that I have this opportunity, and it was something that I thought about as far as evaluating my performance, and I talked with Bob about that. I talked about the assistant coaches about that. I talked with our team, every player on the team, and met individually with the seniors and talked with them during this last few days. And it just keeps coming back that, I like what I'm doing. If there was any doubt about apathy, I know people talk about having a little fan apathy or anything like that. Well, I don't feel it in this stadium. It's not full maybe, but I certainly don't feel the fans are apathetic toward our football team. They're pretty excited, and even when we came up short, the importance of our last couple of games, our players, heck yes, we knew it's important. We're not apathetic to anything. You have to probably be in the locker room before the game or the locker room at Central Florida or in the locker room after the game to feel just how important these last few games were. We came up short, yes, no question about that. But the effort was there, the want was there, and it's just that we didn't play as good a football as we think we're capable of, and we had to play to a better level than we played at. So I'm really excited to be here. I appreciate all the phone calls and support and emails and text messages, and I used to say letters, but we don't do that anymore, I guess. So you're not going to get a note back from me real quick. It takes me longer to text message you than it does write a note. But I sure have a lot of, feel wonderful about this community and this university, and can't wait till Christmas is over so we can get back together with the team, and we're doing a good job academically, socially, our players are, and we're got a lot of real good players coming back. 8 returning starters on defense, 8 returning starters on offense, 16 guys who are first-year players, 13 on defense, 16 on offense that are coming back, and 3 quarterbacks that started and all played well, all 3 quarterbacks, and 2 of our best receivers are coming back, 4 really good tight ends. A whole offensive line is coming back except 1 player. So we've got a lot to look forward to, and that's what I'm looking forward to, is the future. Okay, how about some questions?
Coach, Stull said obviously this season is what are your goals next year?
Well, we're going to win as many games as we possibly can. I know it. You are You're not going to trap me into that. And I'm not going to tell you which games I expect to lose or win. We plan to win every game that we play. I'm not sure about our schedule because, that hasn't been, well, it looks like we're going to be playing mostly a Conference USA schedule, except for Wisconsin, Ole Miss, and New Mexico State. So we still have one opening on our schedule, but with the possible new league, everything isn't set right now.
Yeah, one thing, remember, there's a transition in the league coming by, too.
Yeah.
There's a transition in the league that's happening right now, that, again, the Mountain West and Conference USA are basically merging. The initial thought was football only, but it's moving more towards all sports at this point. It will be done by end of this year. There was a 90-day window that we thought we could even get transitioned to next year, but right now what's happening is all those people talking about going to the Big East, there's been a lot of, obviously, issues on that happening, so we don't really know who's in and who's out at this point, but I can tell you that merger will happen with the Mountain West. Unless something really dramatic happens, we will do that, and there's a fairly good chance that we'll be playing a lot back into the West Side, especially if we lose SMU and Houston to the Big East, if they go there, then obviously most of the Texas schools are gone, and it makes a lot of sense for us to play in New Mexico, Las Vegas, etc. So, but that's still speculative and in process.
Okay. No, we didn't talk about an extension at all. I just, reevaluated my performance and what I wanted, and to make sure that I have the energy and enthusiasm to continue to do this, and the want to, and I have the staff that wants to be right there with me, and the team that wants to be there with me. So there was no doubt about that, and everything that was, I didn't have anybody come up and say, kick my truck or anything like that. So the only information, and the only time people say something to your face is good, we want you back, Coach, we want you back. So, hey, I'm back. I'm good to be seen. Well, right now, the way that, like Bob addressed it, the way that contracts are and what's going on in other universities, there's no guarantee to any young man. We were just talking about that this morning. We were recruiting a quarterback after Ben Roethlisberger, and he signed with Miami of Ohio, and it was between us and Miami of Ohio to get him, and he was real good. He ended up going to Miami of Ohio, and the coach, after he signed the letter of intent, ended up leaving the school and going to a better job at Indiana. So it's when we look at it, I was 8 years at Weber State. I was 14 years at Washington State, actually 21 years altogether, and this is my 9th year. So I've got a track record of fulfilling contracts and staying with places. And so that's what it's based on. But a lot of times they'll build a relationship with an assistant coach, and then boom, all of a sudden he's gone to a more improved job. But that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Right now we've got 18 scholarships available and 16 commits. And that has not changed through this weekend or after the last game. We've contacted all of our commitments, and they're all still committed, and only got about 3 or 4 more student athletes coming in December, and then we're done. We might have one in January maybe, but it just depends on how they finish their high school. But it hasn't seemed to affect us one bit. I think what will affect us even more is all the other schools that are out there with new staffs coming in is going to affect us a lot more. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a question. Right. I think you just look at our history, my history, and what's happened. And then all the new guys, you know, it's one side of the story versus the other side of the story. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all.
Yeah, one thing too, I mean, again, when you look at it, like Mike said, whether people are being fired or they're leaving for other jobs, when the guys look at it, the thing I would like to know right now is recruiting are going to be there next year. Because, again, whether they sign a contract extension or not, if next year he doesn't want to coach or I don't think he's performing well, whether he signed one or not, then he won't be here. If he wins 12 games and the Green Bay Packers offer him a job, he may not be here. And so, again, we just didn't feel like that was an issue at this time. Here's the rest of his contract. Next year we'll talk about, do you want to do 3 years, 5 years, do you want to stop? And we can do that. But at this point, again, look at the national, what's happening, that really doesn't make a difference at this point.